Alright, what's going on YouTube? We are here with the recap of the live stream that I did this previous Monday. Now, the live stream was planned to be recorded as well as streamed and then put up on the channel, and I would put timestamps for everything that I did in the live stream, so that way you didn't have to watch the full hour. You could just go to what you needed to learn or wanted to learn, or just skip ahead if you didn't watch the whole thing all in one all in one go and needed to go back to where you were. But what we are doing today is we're going to go over what we did, and then we're going to cut it there, and I'm going to do another live stream right after this. That is the plan. So, let's go over it real quick, shall we? Here is the final product of what we will be producing. We will be reproducing a first-person camera. We will no longer have the third person yet, but we will implement a third-person camera in the live stream today. And we will be able to toggle between the two. Not only that, but we will be able to shoot. And it is only semi-automatic right now. But that is about it. And we have fixed, and we have added looking, so that way the looking goes with the character. So the looking is accurate, more accurate. So that is what we have done. So let me show you how I have reproduced this. So as you can see, there's two cameras. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that. But first of all, let us go to animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to animations. I'm going to go to TPP animations, and that is actually the wrong place because this does not have the animation blueprints. I need to go to characters, hero TPP, and then I need to go to hero TPP anim blueprint. Now, if you are not doing exactly what I have done from the first episode to where I copied everything over, then you will have to go to your animation blueprint, not mine. But being that I did not show how to set up an animation blueprint, you may be a little lost here. I suggest referring back to my older tutorial series as to show you how to set up an animation blueprint from scratch. But if you followed me so far with everything that I've done, and I understand that I'm talking a little fast because I want to get this tutorial done and I want to keep the time compact and I want to talk less, but I still want to talk about what is important, but in a less amount of time, I should say. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the event graph, and we've got some blueprints that we need to set up here, but we are not going to set up those blueprints first. So what we actually need to do is we need to create a variable down here and name it aim rotation. Then click your little variable icon and make it a rotator. And then what we are going to do, excuse me for the background noise, then what we are going to do is go to the event graph, and on the event graph, you scroll to the, zoom into where it says event blueprint update animation. Now drag off from this and type in sequence and hit enter. Now the sequence then 0 needs to go to cast character, and then 1 needs to go up here and you type set aim rotation. Hit enter. Now me, I don't need to do that, but I'm going to do it anyways just for demonstration purposes. Now, what you need to do is actually leave this alone for now. You can do one of two things though. You can actually drag off and make rotator, or you can go over here and follow me, or you can do both. So I suppose let's drag off and make rotator, and then drag off of cast to character down here, and drag up and get control rotation. Drag off of this, and down here break rotator. Now off of the pitch, you will want to get three different things. You'll want to get minus, multiply, and greater than or equal to. So what you want to do is you want to connect, you want 360 minus y, you want y times -1, and you want y greater than or equal to 180. Then off of 360 minus y, you will want to type select float, and b needs to be y times -1. Pick A should be the bool from y is greater than or equal to 180. Now off of this you need to divide, and the variable or the value should be 2. Off of this you need to make a rotator, and it should automatically connect to x. Or you don't actually have to make a rotator since we did that earlier. Just connect this to the X, and if you run into issues where your character is not bending in the right location, please show me. Send me screenshots, whether it's emailing me or putting in the comment section, putting in the discussion, hopping on the Discord, and we will talk about the Discord, by the way, at the end of the episode. Yes, there is a Discord server for my channel now, if you missed that YouTube episode that I did put up about the Discord server for this YouTube channel. But on to what we need to do next in the animation blueprint or animation graph. We need to actually move on to the anim graph. Now, first of all, what I need you to do is you will see that the apply additive will be the new state machine will be connected to the base of the apply additive, where the additive is the here TPP aim offset using aim yaw and aim pitch. You'll actually want to remove this and connect the new state machine to normal movement. Now, everything else should be connected just fine, but just in case, normal movement should go to fabric. This will automatically pop up, and fabric should go to slot upper body. This will also automatically pop up. If you don't have any of these, that's probably because you are not using the proper anim blueprint. Now, normal movement should be connected to the base pose of layered blend per bone, and the blend pose 0 should be slot upper body. And then all the default values should be set to, once again, default. Now, that should go to slot upper body, and what you will now need to do is you'll need to right click and type transform modify bone. And you will want to do some options here. Now, to get it to look like what I have, you will need to do some things, like I said. So, you will want to uncheck as pin for translation, scale as pin, and alpha as pin. You will want it to be B spine, and then rotation you will want to add to existing in component space. Now, you will want to select this and Control W and connect this, but the second one needs to be spine B underscore spine 1. Then connect this to full body and connect this to your final animation pose, and then grab aim rotation from down here, Control click and drag to get it, connect it to the rotation on both of these, and then you will be good to go. Now, that is all we have to do in here. Now, I'm going to exit that, save this, and what I'm going to do now is we're going to move on to our character. Now, when I say my character, I mean my actual character blueprint. Now, my character blueprint will not be in here, it does not look like, which is interesting. No, he is not in here. So, pawns, player pawn. Let's see, where is he? All I'm actually, oh, it's third person character, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the player that I have in the world, the character, and I'm going to edit that blueprint and open in Blueprint Editor over here on the details panel. If you do not see the details panel, don't be alarmed. If you have the world outliner, just click edit third person character. Now this popped over on my other monitor, so I'm going to drag this over. But what we need to do now is add these settings that we have in here. Now, not everything we will be able to add immediately, because not everything we have added functionality for in the other appropriate blueprints to connect to this blueprint to make the functionality work. Let me explain. Things need to happen first. So, we will just set up the looking first. First of all, what you need to do is click on third person character, quote self, or parentheses self, or you can click on class defaults. Either way, you need to click use controller yaw. Check that to be true. If any of these other ones are checked true, please uncheck them. Now what you next need to do is you need to click on mesh, add component, and type camera. Hit enter, and it will automatically make it a child of the mesh. The camera needs to be parented to B underscore head. It needs to use pawn control rotation to be true. And this is the rotation, 180 on the X, 90 on the Z, -8 location. I'll read off the locations, or you can see them. -8.15 on the X, 4.56 on the Y, -3.37 on the Z. this will give you the result of the camera looking somewhat like this, and it does not look perfect, but with the use control pawn control rotation, it will align the camera a lot better to the player's head view and rotation view. And then it will give us the product of this that we see, where the not only is the arms following the character, and as you can see in the shadow, the body is following properly, but you will get this nice first-person view that you can thusly modify further. If you want to modify the first-person view, I do not suggest using the animation while you are doing it. To disable the animation very quickly, one method that I use, and this is just one, there are many others, but you can uncheck real-time, and it will freeze the animation, and you can thusly modify the camera location a lot more appropriately. If you use real-time, the camera will actually be moved around and influenced by the animation's movements, which you will not want. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get two events. Input axis turn, if I could spell. Input axis turn, right here, and then you will want lookup. Lookup right here, right? And then you will need two add controller pitch. You will need two add controller inputs. You will need add controller yaw input and add controller pitch input. Pitch will go to lookup, yaw will go to turn, connect the value to the axis value, respectively, and you will be set there. Now, we have some stuff to do here, but we haven't set this up yet for us to be able to spawn the gun. So let's actually go make the gun real quick. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Blueprints. You're going to want to go create a folder called Weapons, if there isn't one already, and go into that, and you will see plenty of stuff here. But we're actually not going to use any of this. We're going to create two blueprints. We're going to create an actor. So right-click. You're going to want to right-click, blueprint class, and select actor, and name it item_master. Now right-click this and create a child blueprint class, and name it weapon_master. Now what you will want to do is you'll want to open the weapon master, and you will also want to open the item master. Now in the item master, click on default scene root, add component, and click skeletal mesh. The mesh you will be left blank, and don't put any code in here, and don't mess with the viewport, just leave everything plain. So that's in the item master, but in the weapon master, you will see two inherited things. You will see the default scene root, and you will see the mesh. Now, what you need to do is you need to select the mesh and select and type in rifle, or the other gun model if you do happen to have one. Now with rifle, you should have the materials automatically applied, but if you don't, you will have to find those and apply them appropriately. You can see, for example, here, the materials that are automatically applied here. No animations will be applied to this because we have none. Well, we do have them, but we're not going to apply them, so it's really fine. So, what we're going to do is we're going to create an event, a custom event. And to do that, you have to type custom event, and add custom event will be right there. Name it fire, if you would, and drag off of that and create a branch. Drag off of true and create another branch. And drag off of false and type spawn actor of class. Now, what we'll need to do is add these variables and create these this actor that will be spawning here, but what we want to do is we want to create two bool variables. One will be called canFire ? And the other is firing ? CanFire will go to our first branch, and is firing will be our second branch. Now, keep in mind, fire to branch, true to branch, false to spawn actor from class. For you, it will not say spawn actor bullet, it will say spawn actor none. Now, we don't have an actor to spawn yet, so let's go create that actor. What I want you to do is in your weapons blueprint folder, I want you to right-click, create a new folder, and name it projectiles. Open this up and create an actor called bullet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple things. First of all, click on default scene root, add component, and just add a sphere if you would. Click on the sphere and add the scale to 0.1. on all of the axes, and then lock it just for fluidity's sake, I suppose. And that's all we're going to want to do there. Now, projectile movement. How do we get that? Well, that's actually quite easy as well. Add component and just type projectile movement and hit enter. No, or click on it. But if you click on projectile movement, you want to set some variables. Real quick, set initial speed to 1,000, max speed to 1,000, initial velocity in local space true, rotate follows velocity false, and projectile gravity scale 0.1. So, now that that is done, we're going to exit everything in Control-Shift-S to save all the work that we've done, and go back to your weapon master. You can close the blueprint for the bullet, by the way. Go back to your weapon master, and on spawn actor none, select the class and type bullet, or whatever you named your projectile, and mine was bullet. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to spawn transform. So spawn, or no, excuse me, off of spawn transform, I am going to get socket transform from mesh. Now, automatically get socket transform and mesh will pop up. And what you'll want to do is type this in right here. If, and only if, you are using the rifle skeletal mesh. If you're using a different rifle skeletal mesh, you will want to create a socket on the skeleton of your rifle that is placed at the muzzle, and the Y is facing forward. Now, what you will want to do from there is make sure that transform space is RTS world. Now, I was explained that RTS means rotation, transformation, translation, and scale, which makes sense. It is indeed not real-time strategy. So, this is the name of my muzzle socket. So, muzzle flash socket is what I will call it. Yes, it is case sensitive, so keep that in mind. So, now that we have this, we'll want to make sure that collision handling override is always spawn. Ignore collisions. But, now that this is done, we need to go to our project settings. So, go to your map and settings, project settings, and this should pop up somewhere. Under engine, you'll want to go to input, action mappings, and create a new mapping and name it fire. Expand fire and add 2 action mappings to the group. Type left mouse button for one of them, or whatever you want to use to fire, and gamepad trigger, right trigger if you want gamepad support. Gamepad right trigger is generally a very common button layout for the firing on most consoles or, of course, controllers. So now that's done, Control-Shift-S to save all the work you've done so far, and you can close the weapon master. Now, let's go back to our third-person character. Now, what we'll want to do is we will want to get the event begin play. So that's super simple, just right-click and begin play. Hit enter. Now, what you'll want to do off of this is you want to drag and spawn actor from class. Once again, it will not say spawn actor weapon master, it will say spawn actor none. To get it to say weapon master, if you haven't found this out already, click on the class and type weapon underscore master, or just WEAP, or whatever you named your weapon master blueprint. Now, default handling override, or collision handling override, just leave that at default. Now, spawn transform, I have 2 reasons for setting the socket transform to, and mostly just the one reason, socket transform to the weapon hand. Now, this does not attach it, so you will have to attach it as we do later. This actually just spawns it at this location. But you may be wondering, since we're going to attach it, why don't you just spawn it anywhere? It doesn't really matter. Now, some people would reason that, and that's how I used to reason, because I would just do this, I would drag off, make transform, and the defaults would be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for the location rotation, and 1, 1, 1 for the scale. This would spawn it at 0, 0, 0 with a rotation of 0, 0, 0 with a scale of 1. Well, that wasn't always good for debugging. Why? Because if the gun wasn't spawning, well, was it not spawning, or was it not attaching, or was it not spawning in the right location? What was happening? Now, if your map, or if your player is not at 0, 0, 0, you're not going to see if the gun is there, because the gun has no physics yet. So it could just fall through the ground, or it could be spawned under the ground, or wherever 0, 0, 0 is. But here's the deal. If you spawn it at the socket of your player's hand where the weapon goes, you will know if it is attaching or if it is spawning. You will know if it's spawning and not attaching. If it doesn't show up there, you'll know that it's not spawning, or that this socket doesn't exist and something's going wrong here. But there's multiple good reasons. There's multiple reasons for this. Now, how we get this? Same way we did it on the weapon for the bullets. What you want to do is drag off, get socket location, or socket transform, excuse me, off of mesh, and the socket name will be weapon point. Now there is actually a default issue. Even though this is the default gun that we are using, the default gun mesh and the default character mesh, and we're not really doing anything different than the shooter game example, the gun doesn't attach properly. It actually attaches wrong. So we're gonna fix that real quick. I don't actually have to fix it, but you guys will. So click on your mesh, click the magnifying glass icon on the skeleton mesh, and open up the skeleton. Now, what you'll want to do is you'll want to find the almighty weapon point socket. Now, its default rotation actually makes it look like it's okay. But this is not its default rotation. This is what you'll want it to look like. Because when the animation is holding the gun, and I will show this for you, it actually transforms the gun to make it look proper. So, there is a big difference between this and this, I understand. But this is how you're going to want to make it look. Now, how do we get it to that point? That's very simple. I'll just give you the details and you can copy it. Just type -90 for the rotation, 2 for the Y, and leave 0 for the Z. The location will be 0, 0, 0. Scale will be 1, 1, 1. Now, from there, we will want to create, back on our third-person character, a variable. And we're going to not do it over here in the variables tab. We're going to do it in the blueprint editor, in the event graph as well. Drag off of return value and promote to variable. Just call it current weapon if you would. And if it doesn't automatically attach the executable line, attach it, please. Now, drag off of this and attach to component. Hit enter. Now, attach the executable, of course, and I'll delete that because I don't need it. Now, attach to component. Now, target should be current weapon, but parent should be mesh. So just control drag mesh and hook that up to the parent. And the socket name, if you forgot, needs to be weapon point. So just paste that. Snap to target needs to be the location, rotation, and scale rule, and weld simulated bodies needs to be true. Now, remember that input that we created earlier, that input action over in our project settings? Now we're actually going to put that to use. And how we're going to put that to use is by right-clicking and typing fire. And that's the first thing that pops up. Input, action, input, and then action events, and then fire. Now, on pressed, you want to, first you want to drag your current weapon, control drag to get it, and then type fire, and then you can hit enter, and it will grab the event fire, not the action, input action. It'll grab the event fire. Now, you'll want to connect the executable to pressed, and you should be good to fire your gun. Now, if we compile well, you don't have to compile everything because it automatically should do it when you play, but if you save everything with Control-Shift-S and go to your game, press play, magically, everything looks good, sounds good, and plays a little bit more like a game that you would want to be recreationally wasting your time in. Now, obviously, not everything's perfect. The bullet physics aren't great. The bullets aren't shooting to the center of the screen. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't look right. The bullets are just white dots, and we can see them, and they're very visible, and they're super slow, and the animation is still not proper for the jumping. There's a lot of stuff that we have to go through. I can't aim down sights. I can't change fire modes. I can't scroll weapons. I can't pick up weapons. I can't drop weapons. There's a lot to do, but just know this. We will get to it, and this is just the beginning stages of our game. So thank you so much for watching this recap of the live stream. I'm sorry that it took probably 30 minutes, but I did my best with what I had. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in either next live stream, next episode, or whatever the heck I talk about next. Peace.